President Nixon signed into law today the bill committing more than $1.5 billion to a war on cancer. The 3-year program involves research, diagnosis, prevention, and treatment.
And I hope that in the years ahead, that we may look back on this day and this action as being the most significant action taken during this administration.
The American Cancer Society has responded to recent criticism that the...
It was a really great educational quality to this piece that I thought really helped sort of getting you into a very dense and complex topic that also has a lot of real world implications. I think a lot of people in their lives know someone that might have had cancer. There's so many different forms of cancer, and there's a lot of, I think, debate about what might cause it, the diets, genetics, the backdrop of sort of environmental factors in terms, or genetic factors from your parents or your family. And I thought that the piece did a really great job of sort of exploring all those backdrops, as well as going through like a historical primer of sort of the basis of the research and the men that were involved, and everybody who sort of became conscious of how much of a threat cancer was globally, and sort of how they ended up sort of trying to track it and eventually trying to fight it and get to today's world, in which a lot of forms of cancer, there are some pretty effective treatments. So I thought that the piece was very sort of inspirational in the sense of human ingenuity and what can be done with a lot of research and focus. Excuse me, but also quite harrowing to see the effects of cancer and how many people end up suffering, and the damages that can be done. So I thought it was a well done piece, an informative piece. The narration was well paced, I thought, and I thought it really sort of handheld you through some information that was difficult to get through and not everybody has a grasp of.
And we kind of start framing it around the life of a physicist, Otto Warburg, who searched for a root cause of cancer. And he felt that the rapid growth was a result of energy, and he found that fermentation was the cause. This became known as the Warburg effect. And then he went on to discover the metabolic theory of cancer, and starts to test several types of cancers because of in their use of the glucose. And, you see his life doing all this during war-torn Germany, how he was tolerated by the Nazis because of their own obsession with cancer, and one for a cure because Hitler's own mother had died from breast cancer. And so from him, who set the stage of this is where we consider our experimentation from based off this theory, we see the evolution of several scientists' theories, including ones that didn't hold as much weight at the time, and others that did, and really elevated the original thought process. And it was a full look at the history of this disease, and it gave the disease a face and allowed me to have a better understanding of the history and the evolution of it. Sometimes it feels like a mystery, and it felt like these are all the people going into trying to solve this mystery over the course of decades. And you can't start to see all these various ways that they're discovering that one can contract cancer. And there was a moment where they realized that viruses could cause cancer. And so the focus became on finding a reasoning for that. The transformation of the cancer research, from genetic research to viral research to even environmental research. And you see how that research has ended on to now off-label drugs or nutrition or ketogenic diets. I thought it was interesting to see all of these faces of people who had tried another route outside of the traditional healthcare system. And it just lets you know that there's not only one answer to solve this problem.
I really loved the editing in this. It was very dynamic. Visually, it was very captivating, especially for a documentary. Everything was always moving. We were always being shown pictures and animations and things to help us understand what we were hearing and seeing, which I thought was really helpful, especially when learning about, what the cancer is doing in the body. Having that animation to help us visualize was really helpful. I thought it was, fascinating to see how our knowledge of cancer evolved, how we would backtrack and then move forward with our knowledge and have to go back on what we thought, continuously evolving until we are where we are today. And just learning how the scientific method works and how we don't always know everything, even though we're using science. And then at the end, just hearing about all these men and women using the keto diet and how it's not taught about, and yet it works so well in so many cases. And just visually seeing all of those testimonies from people lined up and seeing how many people have benefited from this method was really amazing to see, especially having never heard of it myself and seeing how many people have been effectively cured from this method. I thought that was really powerful just to see it in that visual way, and I liked how they did that at the end. So that was a really powerful note to end on.
Question myself as well about cancer. When did cancer became so common? Nowadays, nearly a third of the human population at some point contracts cancer. Like more than 25%, 30% nearly. When people are lucky enough to become old, to go over 70, 75 years old, even more, this percentage goes up. So I always question myself, like, when did cancer start and when everything happened? And now this documentary really gave me a lot of answers. I think it was very well made and very precise. Particularly like the part where the Nazis were so obsessed with cancer that they allowed Jewish Jewish doctors and researcher to work with them, and he wanted to change everything from the inside, to destroy Nazism from the inside. I think it was that was a very interesting part. On top of that, the documentary is well made with a great usage of B-rolls and graphics and music. I think it was very engaging.
It's really educational for me, and I really got involved in these researchers' stories as far as the cancer research goes and how they were viewed by the world at the time. And I didn't realize so much of cancer research came from Germany either, which is interesting to me. I really like the effect in the beginning on the opening credits that was used. I like that a lot. I like the news footage throughout and the newspaper visuals. And just the placement of everything for the story was really well put together, and the pace was great. I really liked this. It was very educational for me, and it was also a really nice pace in the narration and explanation of things, because sometimes it takes a minute to absorb what you're hearing, and it's nice that it didn't go too fast. I thought it went at a slow enough pace, but not too slow. Really just great. And the narration itself, the performer who did the voiceover was really good and clear. I know that those can be challenging to do, and I thought he did a great job. So this was just really well scripted, well performed.
I definitely learned a lot watching this piece and am eager to see more. Just really fascinated by the history, learning a bit more through the deep dive into Otto Warburg and his work. Really put together really well. Just the way it was edited to just keep things visually interesting while we're getting all this really expertly written narration that made very complex ideas very digestible. I think it was really easy to follow, easy to watch. It was just great to hear, and it ends on a really good positive note, but also one that makes you want more. It's sort of a cliffhanger in a way. So I thought this was really well constructed. It was fascinating. It was informative. It was everything a documentary should be.
I've never seen anything about the origins of cancer science and medicine research. I've never seen any program about that or read anything about it before. I didn't know anything about, the science, how the science started and how it's advanced along. This was a really good piece. There's a lot of great information. It's very well directed. All the interviews were done very well. It was edited and paced very nicely. Great use of all the artwork and, footage involved. It was very well paced and excellently told story here.